Hello, hello, and welcome back to another episode of You Are the Masterpiece, where we are talking about that you are work in progress and the masterpiece. And the same time, you do not have to be perfect as long as you are putting the effort. And if you are tuning in for the first time, hello, my name is Irina Portnova, and I'm a manifestation star because I manifested consciously so many great things in my life and I help others to do so with ease and grace. And I'm here with my dear guest, Denise Marsh. Denise, thanks so much for coming. And can you just say a couple of words about yourself and what you are doing in this world?
Yes, first of all, thank you so much, Arena, for having me. I am so excited for this conversation and for everything that's to come from this conversation. So, thank you.
Mhm.
And I'm excited to talk all about things that help us with identifying who we are beyond our roles. And so, one of the things I love to do most in this world when it comes to the work that I do is helping women identify who they are and get comfortable with who they are beyond their roles and prioritizing themselves without the guilt. And so a lot of
Mhm.
this starts with really doing some inner healing and clearing out those old dusty wounds, the things that's just been plaguing and attaching to ourselves for so long that's kept us feeling stuck or stagnant or just not fully fulfilled. And so when we are able to learn how to put ourselves first in the most self-full way, we truly are able to live with more peace, more joy, and more alignment.
Oh my God, I love it. And I love it. And let's just dive in. I just love our topic because this is something so near and dear. And believe it or not, a lot of people still do not understand how our identity gets attached to us. And we are just trying to fulfill these roles and do not really get into the depthness of who we are at the essence.
Mhm.
So this is like an important topic because I know some of the viewers are already awakened, but somebody is still exploring. And I salute you for that because it's all about staying curious and really opening up the corner of your mind for the possibilities.
Yes, and I love that you said staying curious. That is one of the most easeful ways to say that, right? When we talk about self discovery or inner healing or just trying to better ourselves, if we look at it from a point of curiosity, it doesn't feel
Mhm.
so heavy. It doesn't feel
Mhm.
scary, right? It's coming from a place of, I would like to know more about this, or what about this? It just feels lighter and it can even feel fun, right? Especially when it
Totally.
gets very challenging. We need some ease to help us keep going forward.
I love what you shared because Denise, I always tell people we want to connect to our inner child and even connect with our childhood, right? When we were kids, we were dreaming, we were exploring, we were curious, we were having the fun, right? And we never felt guilty about it. We never felt shamed about it. And what happened when we become adults? It's like a different story, right? All of a
Mhm.
sudden we just want to be who we are. We do not want to smile. We always watch ourselves, what we have to say in front of people, right? We want to be appropriate, right? And the
Mm.
idea is with all these conditions we just totally forget who we are. And it's very important to come home and connect with our inner child and ask ourselves, what is this girl or little boy wants, right? And the more we connect with ourselves, the more we understand what really brings us joy, what really makes us alive. And once we connect with that energy, that's where creation starts.
Yes. And I want to make sure too that somewhere in this conversation, we talk back about the childhood part because you did
Mhm.
bring up something very important that for a lot of children, they do dream and hope and, get curious about who they are and what life means to them. But I also want to take it into another direction as well. When sometimes we're put roles are put on us as a child, right, where we
Mhm.
have to start thinking about who we want to be outside of just us being. But when you
Mhm.
think about, if you're when you're a child and someone says, what do you want to be when you grow up, now you have to start
Mhm.
thinking, oh, a ballerina or a veterinarian or whatever it is. But already it's, what role do you want to play? What role
Mhm.
do you want to play? Right. And so I love that for most children that there is still that sense of curiosity. However, for some children or in our childhood or early development years, it's also embedded in us that we have to start forming roles. And so we carry that throughout our lives. And so as adults, it can be very challenging to say, well, I don't know who I am beyond my roles. And that's why this conversation is so important.
Mm-hmm. I love what you mentioned, right? Because sometimes we can get lost, right? In
Mhm.
all the just, fulfilling these requirements and demands, and having the role of mom, or the role of daughter, or the role of the partner, right? And we totally, with these roles, we completely deny who we are and what we want.
Yes.
And so, yeah, so can you just tell more about it? Like, what do we mean by saying reclaiming ourselves?
Yeah. So, one of the things that I feel is such a, I don't want to call it a problem. Let's just call it a challenge, because when we say something is a problem, it feels unfixable sometimes. But when we say something is a challenge, we can kind of tell ourselves that this is something I can get through. This is something that I can overcome. And so let's talk about the challenge is that for a lot of people, when you ask them, tell me about yourself or who are you, they will start talking about the roles that they play, that
Mm-hmm.
either they're a parent or they're a business owner or they do this type of work, or it's what they're doing in the world, not
Mhm,
about
totally.
who they're being. And there is a
Mhm,
difference, right? And so when we can get to the heart of, okay, who am I beyond being a parent, a spouse, a friend, a sister, brother, whoever, who am I outside of those roles? A lot of people don't know, or they don't know how to take the time to figure it out, right? To them, it seems
mhm,
foreign. Like, wait, what do you mean? I'm me. Okay, but what does that mean? What do you enjoy doing? Who are you? And so when we can take some time to really sit with ourselves and get curious about who we are and what it is that we want in our life, so many things start to unfold for us. But this is also where that challenge comes in, that people start to feel guilty about wanting to take that time and that space for themselves.
mhm. Oh my God, this is so crucial. And a lot of people do not know what it means to be, right? And
Mm-mm,
I was also at that point. So 7 years ago, I was just having my normal life, living as everybody else, just going to work, taking care of the family, enjoying the time off together, right? But I did not understand the sense of what does it mean to be me. And it's
mm,
so important, right? And again, when we are not curious, and when we are not exploring, the universe is going to shake us with the
mhm.
circumstances in order to start awakening. And that what was happening for me. Like 7 years ago, I was on the verge of the divorce, and that was the time when I started to question everything. That was
Mhm,
the time where I was why am I here?
mhm,
What is not right with me, right? So a lot of questions started to pop up, like when we are facing these challenges. And it could be in health, it could be in our business, in our financial things, right? It's in our relationship. But what we are teaching people, we are teaching people, you do not have to wait for that
mm-mm.
moment of break down in order for you to step into the power and really start understanding who you are and what would you like to contribute to this world.
Exactly. Yes. And I feel that's one of the big things too, is that a lot of times people wait, even though they don't know they're waiting, right? But they wait until
Mhm.
something big happens in their life, that they experience a death or a health scare, or
Totally.
some type of lifestyle change, a divorce or moving or something, where now they have the opportunity to start to ask those bigger questions about, why am I here? What is my purpose? What am I doing? Right?
Mhm.
But what is so powerful is, hey, I don't have to wait until something big or bad happens. I can start the process now. And
Mhm.
I know for sometimes, in when we have these big shifts in our lives, we can look at them as opportunities, right? Just because something big, bad, scary happened in your life, that doesn't mean you automatically change for the better, right? Sometimes people change and it goes the opposite way, but
Mm-hmm.
it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to ask the bigger questions. It's an opportunity to say, okay, this is hard. This is really traumatic. This is scary. This is tearing me up. But can I still grow from this? Can I come out of this? Can I come out of this new? What else can I get out of this other than just that it's a tragic or really
Mm-hmm.
hard situation? And so it really does take courage, right? It takes some awareness. And we don't have to beat ourselves up about it just because we don't know better in those moments. That's where growth comes in. When we allow
Mm-hmm.
ourselves to take those times as opportunities. And that may sound so bizarre to a lot of people, especially if they're going through something really horrific. If they're going through something where their life is being threatened or their whole life has been flipped upside down and it's hard for them to just even get out of the bed, they don't see this as an opportunity, right? They just
Mm-hmm.
see this is bad. This is hard. I
Totally.
don't know what to do. And it's okay to feel what you need to feel. And this is also where sometimes getting some type of support is very important because we cannot do this alone. We really can't. So whether it's therapy or getting some type of coach or see a doctor or a good trusted friend, something where you have
Mm-hmm.
support and some type of guidance to help you through it, because getting through it just by yourself is not always the way. Right now, true, we have to go through a lot of things on our own, but we also have space where we can allow people to help us through it as well.
I love what you shared because, like as you are sharing, and I was thinking to myself, if I was aware that there is a support 7 years ago, I wouldn't have to suffer in, like, and just being alone in that. And that's the whole idea, because our society does not teach us how to connect with each other. Our society
Mhm.
teaches us, okay, you can be totally independent. Stop showing your weakness. Do not cry. Do not carry your emotions, right? Just, like, be bold and just show up in the world the way we expect you to show up, right? And that's exactly something that a lot of people were imposed, and they do not even understand that there is so much help to belong to the communities, to be with like-minded people who are going through the same things, like even whatever they are dealing with, whether this is divorce, whether this is some health issues, whether this is financial crisis, right? Whatever it is, we are not meant, like you mentioned, Denise, we were not meant to do that alone, because energetically we are all connected, we are all one,
Mhm.
and it's all about staying curious and asking yourself, do I want some help? Right? Because obviously, at the end of the day, the choice is with us, whether we
Mhm.
choose to suffer alone or we choose to connect with people who uplift us, to be in the community, to be with the coach, to be with the therapist, whoever you choose to be with, so you receive the help that you desire.
Yes, absolutely. And something that I want to make sure I just put in there, just in case I don't have the opportunity later in this conversation. When you were talking about how, some people, feel like expressing their emotions is a sign of weakness. If they cry, they're not supposed to
Mhm.
cry, or they're not supposed to show they're mad or angry or sad, right? And I'm sorry or is one of the most overused terms. People are
Mhm.
just saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And a lot of the times they're saying, I'm sorry, is when they're expressing their humanness, when they're crying,
Mhm.
when they're sad, when they're angry, when they're
Mhm.
disappointed. And they're like, if we hear that all the time, right? Someone starts to get upset or they cry like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Why are you sorry for being human?
Right.
Why are you sorry for
Exactly.
expressing emotions? Right. And
Mhm.
so I wanted to bring that up because for anyone who's listening who has ever said I'm sorry for expressing an emotion, which I'm pretty sure every single one of us has at some point in
Totally.
our lives,
Mhm.
use that as an opportunity to get curious, right? Or to
Mhm.
express that vulnerability, or to use it as a growth moment. So if you're upset or sad, or you're crying, or you're just whatever it is, instead of saying I'm sorry, right? Which again, you have nothing to be sorry for expressing your emotions. Instead of saying I'm sorry, you can choose to say, in this moment I'm upset and I need a moment to allow myself to be upset. Or in this
Mhm.
moment I'm feeling this. You know,
Mhm.
or even if it slips out saying I'm sorry, you can say, actually I'm not sorry. I'm feeling something right now and I'm expressing myself. Now, of course, you may not say it in those words in that way. What I'm trying to get to is that instead of saying I'm sorry and apologizing for your feelings, use
Mhm.
that as a time to show courage that you are expressing your feelings and there is nothing to be ashamed about. This is also a way to get to know ourselves in a deeper way, right? Because again, if you're just saying I'm sorry, you're dismissing your own self.
Totally.
No, we don't dismiss ourselves. We embrace who we are. If I'm upset, why, actually, why is this upsetting me? Why is this making me sad? Ask yourself those questions. Instead of dismissing the emotions, ask yourself, this is one of the ways we are able to get to know ourselves in a different way, in a more meaningful way, is by questioning the things that we're feeling and not just, well, I'm just mad because they did this. Okay, but
Mhm.
why? What happened that made you feel this way? Ask yourself that
Mhm.
question, right? And
Mhm.
so having these conversations with ourselves really helps us to get a deeper feel and meet understanding of who we are.
Totally. I love what you shared. Can you say a little bit about the book that you wrote?
Yes. Yes. So it is called Do It for Your Selfie. And it is a guide to helping you on any part of the journey when it comes to building that friendship with yourself. And so the book is designed for, I really did write it with women in mind. However, it is open to all humans. And
Mhm.
it doesn't matter if you are at a point in your life where you're feeling, I don't like myself at all. And it's
Mhm.
also great for people who are saying, I'm in love with myself, right? In the book, what we really do is focus on the words like self worth, self validation, self confidence, self satisfaction, self image, and what these words truly mean. And while you're reading the book, you're reading each chapter, you're able to see like, how do these words, how does this statement, how does it apply to me? Where in my life do I feel I'm seeking so much other outside validation? Where in my life do I feel satisfied and do I feel I'm just settling? Where in my life
Mhm.
do I feel confident and where in my life do I feel like I'm lacking? Right? So the book is helping you to take a good look at yourself in a non-judgmental way by asking yourself, where in my life can I get better? And how can I do this
Mhm.
for me? And a lot of what is shared in the book, it's also expressing that a lot of times we think that we need or want to get better for other people. And we see
Mhm.
this a lot with
Mhm.
women, especially if they have a family, right? And so if they say, oh, I need to get better for my children, or I need to get better for my partner, or I need to get,
Mhm.
no, that's beautiful and all. But
Mhm.
you really want to get better for yourself.
For yourself,
Right?
yes.
It's not saying that you're saying, forget my kids, forget my family, I don't care about them. It's not that. But you can't base your development, your improvement, and your happiness on other people. It doesn't work that way. Right. And so
Mhm.
we have to say, okay, how can I get better for me to be better for me? And that way I am able to be better for other people. We can't do it in reverse and say, let me get
Mhm.
better for them and for, forget about me. We
Mhm.
have to come first as far as how we're choosing to show up, because the better that we treat ourselves, we are able to show up better for other people. It is not selfish to say, I need to consider me. It is the
Mhm.
most beautiful and loving thing that you can do, is to consider yourself, right? Because the more that we do that, the more we're able to be strong for other people and show up for other people and give freely to other people. But if we're doing it in reverse, where we're giving and giving and giving to everyone else, we're left with just the scraps. And that is why
Mhm.
so many people are feeling unfulfilled, exhausted, burnt out, depressed. Like they're forgetting about themselves, or they're feeling guilty for even thinking about doing something for themselves.
So true, so true. I love it. And if for somebody, Denise, who is new to this journey of self-discovery, what kind of tips would you give them? What to start from?
Yes. Okay. So I would first say, and this is going to sound so simple, okay?
Mhm.
First, like you said earlier, get curious. Just start asking yourself, what is something I want to do for me? What's something I
Mm-hmm.
want to do for me? Start there, right? Even if it's something as simple as I want to get some ice cream, or I want to go for a walk, or I want to go on a vacation, or I want to change jobs. It can be from something simple to big. But first, just
Mm-hmm.
asking, what is something I can do for me? And
Mm-hmm.
then start taking a little bit of inventory in your life. Just however this looks for you. It can be journaling, writing in a notebook, just visualizing and just thinking about the different parts of your life, and start to think about the parts that feel really good, right? And so asking, what parts of my life do I feel really good in? Right. So you may say,
Mm-hmm.
I feel really good in my job. I feel really confident in what I do for a living. I feel good when I'm with my friends, but when I'm home, I don't feel as confident
Mm-hmm.
as a parent, or I don't feel really confident in my relationship with my partner. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. And so then we get to say, okay, well, what is it about my job where I feel confident? What is it about being with my friends where I feel really happy? And then what is it about my relationship that's making me feel not so good? Where's the comparison? Where are the similarities? And so start to get curious in those different areas, because now it helps you to identify what parts you may want to give a little bit more attention to so you can start to feel better. The challenge and the issue comes in when people start to settle, right? And so using
Mm-hmm.
that same example where they may feel, what, work is great, my friends are great, home life isn't so great, but that's all right. Everything can't be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
People start to settle. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's not about being perfect. It's not about having a perfect life. But listen here, okay? I need people to hear me loud. If you don't take anything else away from this conversation, please, please, this part here is so important. We have one life that we are living right now that we know of. Okay. We're not talking about what may happen after we physically die. I'm talking about right here, right now. This is the life we're living. And if you are not feeling fulfilled, if you are not feeling good, if you're not feeling confident, if you're not feeling peace, you have the choice and the opportunity to change that. Stop telling yourself, I can't because of this, or I can't because of that. Listen, there has to be a way for you to have more happiness, for you to have more peace. As long as there is breath in your body, you have a choice. And you don't have to change overnight. That's unrealistic anyway. But start to make some changes. That takes courage. It does take some courage to make changes in our lives. But this is the life you're living right now. And if it's not feeling so good, if it's not feeling happy and exciting and confident and beautiful most of the time, then you have to make some changes, right? It's not going to feel good all the time, but it can feel good most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So stop settling for just, it's fine. Stop settling. This is your life. I mean, I wish I had like a megaphone to just scream it to the world. Like, goodness. And I get it. I mean, there was a period of my life where I was not happy. I was not fulfilled. I was not kind to myself. So I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. I get it. I get it. But it was up to me to make the change, right? It was up to me. And I could get all the guidance and all the support. But if I wasn't willing to make the change, then that's on
Mm-hmm.
me. Right. And so we have to take responsibility for what's happening in our lives. We can't just say, blame everyone, blame our childhood, blame the economy, blame all these things. Do something about it. Do something about
Mm-hmm.
your life and your happiness in it.
Oh my God, so powerful, so many gems, just, mic drop. But you know what? I wanted to also notice, like, Denise, you have amazing energy, and it just like, like I can feel that vibration. But what I wanted to also bring up, it's a lot of times people just, like kind of do not even want to go there and start like digging, because they know the minute they start like really questioning, there is something that they are going to discover, and there might be the
Mhm.
disconnect. And that's where they have to make some decisions, right? Hard decisions,
Yes.
whether they belong in that partnership, or whether they have to change the job, or anything else, right, in life. But
Mhm.
the thing is that you are right, like we have to take the responsibility. or we are not living the life to the fullest because we are constantly just in that busyness, in that mode where we are not enjoying ourselves, where we are not living in the present moment. We do not know how to enjoy everything in the present moment because we are constantly in that rush. We are
Yeah.
constantly thinking, okay, what else has to be done on my list to check it
Mm-hmm.
off, right? So a lot of times people are saying, okay, I do not even have time to do this inner work. And at that moment, they're just depriving yourself from experiencing the life on a different level. What can you add to that?
Yes. And everything that you just said is so valid. And I know that there's someone listening who's agreeing to everything you said that's just like, I don't want to do the work. I'm afraid of what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that people are saying this because pretty much almost every single woman that comes to work with me, that's one of the first things they say, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
willing to do the work, but they're also saying, I'm actually afraid of what's going to come up. I'm
Right.
ready, but I'm also a little bit nervous, and a lot of the women who come to me, like their lives are not horrible, right? They have really
Mm-hmm.
great things going on in their lives. However, they know that there's something that also needs to shift and change. And so they're coming for guidance. And so here's where I can say, like, for those who are afraid of digging in, don't do it alone. Okay. Don't
Mm-hmm.
do it alone.
Love
So
it.
again, it
Yes.
is up to us to make the change. But if you're afraid of what's going to come up, what's going to come through, get the right type of support. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it may take a little bit of, research or trial and error to find
Totally.
the right person or the right group or the right experience,
Mm-hmm.
but it's worth it. It is truly,
Mm-hmm.
truly worth it, and so really finding the right type of support for you that's going to help you through that, that's going to be that type of support you need. So I would say
Mm-hmm.
definitely get support, whatever that looks like for you. Get some support if you're afraid, because it's better to get the help and work through it
Mm-hmm.
instead of just ignoring it and just, keeping it buried.
Absolutely. I just love everything what you said. And just the final tip or something to leave the audience with of to ponder, because I always love something like the food for thought for
Yeah.
people, tuning in and just like, what is the biggest aha moment? What is the takeaway from this conversation? What can you leave them with? So they start like really figuring out if they want to change and reclaim themselves beyond their roles.
Yes. Okay. And this may sound good or it may sound like, what the heck is she talking about? But here's my final food for thought. My tip is to have fun. Have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And don't save fun for special occasions like your birthdays or holidays or vacations. Have fun every single day. Find
Mm-hmm.
something every single day that feels fun for you, right? Even if it's just 1 minute, even if it's just
Mm-hmm.
putting on a song that makes you move your body, or if it's having a fun meal every single day. Find at
Mm-hmm.
least one thing that feels fun to you. It doesn't need to feel fun to anyone else, but just to
Right.
you. That is how we start to add in a little bit more joy, a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
peace, and a break from the to-do list and the responsibilities of
Mm-hmm.
every day. So have fun. It really helps on our personal journey.
I love that. That's awesome. Denise, thank you so, so much for coming in, for sharing your light with us, for all the wisdom you had. And thanks so much. Looking forward to collaborate more with you. And everybody, have a great day and see you on the next episode.
Thank you,
Bye.
Irina. Bye, everyone.
Thank